Hello everyone, Kaiser here, and today I'm back with a new video showing off a small showcase of some Capcom figures that I had made. This is a video I meant to get out a little bit earlier, but I was waiting till I made a few more custom figures, but I decided why not, let's just do it now. And as you can see, I have a custom Phoenix Wright, a custom Chris Redfield, and a custom Jury. The reason I made these two are because I wanted them to be in a Marvel vs. Capcom display, and for why I made Jury, I'll get to that once I start talking about her. So starting off with Phoenix Wright, he was probably the most simple to make. I can't remember what figure exactly was the base for this figure. I remember it being a DC Universe Classics figure. That's the only figure that I know of that has like this type of sculpt and articulation. But since it was a suited body, I thought this would work perfectly for him. And all I really did was paint the arms, the coat, the legs blue. And I did try to match the blue like how it is in the game. I did paint the tie red since it originally wasn't. I decided to keep the shirt the same. The undershirt, that's completely the same. For the head though, that was probably the hardest part, mostly with the hair. If I can get the camera to focus, hold on a sec. Yeah. Alright, there we go. So yeah, for the head, it was kind of the hardest part to do, but I think I did a pretty good job. I think the expression could be a bit better, but I don't mind it. The hair was pretty simple to do, kind of. What I did was I took a piece of cardboard, like a really thin piece, cut it into how it's supposed to look, and glued it and then sculpted over it. Did that for both sides and then painted it. I think it came out pretty well. I do know that there's a Figma Phoenix Wright, but since I had already started this, I thought why not just finish it. Oh, and I should have mentioned that for the lower legs, this is actually fabric. The reason for that is that the original legs, the original lower legs weren't there, so had to find something to use, and this was pretty good. I think it came out pretty well. For the articulation, his head can move side to side. It can pretty much go all the way around. His arms can go out pretty far. He has a bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, and he does have a wrist swivel. It is kind of hindered due to the jacket or sleeves. He has an ab crunch that can go pretty far forward, can kind of go back, but it is hindered by the coat. He does, oh, there we go. It was stuck. He does have a thigh swivel, not a thigh swivel, a waist swivel. His legs can go that far forward. They can't really go back. They can go out to the side. He does have a thigh swivel here. He does have a knee bend, a boot swivel, but it's kind of, you know, it's hidden under the pants leg. And he does have an ankle rocker. So the articulation is average. I think it works for Phoenix, who, you know, not really much of an action character. You're not really going to be getting him into many dynamic poses, but still it works out pretty well. Moving on to Chris Redfield. This was made out of a, if I'm correct, a DC multiverse Rick Flag from the Suicide Squad movie, and it seemed to work pretty well. This is obviously based off his Resident Evil 5 design, which is the one they used for Marvel vs. Capcom. And I would say I think it's good. I feel like I could add a bit more detail, and I probably will go back and, you know, fix them up a bit. But for now, I like how it looked, especially the head. This, I did try to make his 5 o'clock shadow and just make it accurate to how he looks, and I think I did a pretty okay job. Not too bad. For his body, again, pretty standard. All I really did was paint the shirt that the original figure came with green, and he did come with like a vest but all I really did was cut the front of it and just use the back, and as you can see, I made this machete. It is able to come out if I can get it out on camera, and this is made out of a popsicle stick, and he is able to hold it. So let me get that there. And I should mention that his hands are made out of ball joints, but they're really loose, so they do kind of come off easily, but it's not that big of a problem. And as you can see with his other hand, he comes with a pistol. I do have a bunch of other guns that could work for him. I just didn't decide to get them for whatever reason. But yeah, I decided to keep the belt because it was a pretty good looking belt. I didn't want to mess anything up. For the pants, all I really did for the most part was, what I did was I painted them white color and then kind of dry brushed a bit of black and gray, just kind of make them a bit more dirty. For the double jointed knees I gave him, I took some knee pads from an Iron Man figure and some lower legs from another figure, I can't remember. And so I was able to get that double jointed knee. And the same thing I did for Phoenix, I did for Chris, which is just putting fabric over the leg. And I also painted his shoes. So again, it was pretty simple, not too complicated, and I will say the articulation is also pretty good. Let me just get this hand back on. So for articulation, his head can move side to side. It can move up and down a little, but it's kind of limited. His arms can go out to the side. He does have a bicep swivel, and I should mention, almost forgot, the original figure didn't have, well, he had long sleeves, and since Chris doesn't really have that with his Resident Evil 5 design, I had to swap out the arms for a WWE pair, and they work pretty well. So yeah, bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, which sucks. I need to find a way to make that double jointed. Like I said before, he has a wrist swivel and a hinge. It's on ball joint, but it's so loose. So yeah, it kind of stinks. Gonna change that as well. He does have an ab crunch, but it can't really crunch that much. He does have and it can't go back. He has a waist swivel. His legs can go that far forward, that far back, out to the side, thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and his ankle can do a pivot. So he does have pretty good articulation. The only thing that I'd really change is the what's the word I'm looking for? The I need double jointed arms. That's the only real thing I would change about it. So yeah, that was Chris. And moving on to probably my favorite out of this little showcase, that would be Jury. And the thing is about this Jury is that I actually started working on her a while ago, way before we moved, and I never actually ended up finishing her until I think it was a few months ago, but I'm glad I did because this figure came out really well. As you can see, for the face, I think I used a WWE figure, a female figure for this face, and it came out really well. If you didn't know, this is based off a Street Fighter 5 design, and for the eye patch, it is removable, or movable I should say, so if you want, you can move it out of the way. I don't really recommend it, but yeah. All I did was take a piece of plastic, and I did my best. If you can see, give me a sec. Okay, so if you can see, I did try to make the symbol on her eye patch, and it was kind of hard, and you can't really see it, but it is there. And I did like how her other eye came out. And for how I made her hair, actually, I stuck a toothpick into each side of her head and sculpted around it, and then used some purple thread in order to make that to make it like how it is in game. The collar here is made out of cardboard, and pretty much the rest of the body is painted. If I remember correctly, this is made from a Funko League of Legends figure, and I thought it would work pretty well. It is a bit cybernetic looking, but I still think it works. For the feet though, I can't remember which feet these were, but I had to shave them down a lot. And if you can see, I also painted the toenails like how it is in the game. Another thing I did was I actually modified the articulation to give her a thigh swivel, and I have to say the thigh swivel is actually pretty clean looking. I actually think I've gotten better at adding thigh swivels onto certain characters, because back then I used to suck at it. But still, I think this looks pretty good. For the one more thing. I did add the spider-like design on the back. And I will say that, one, this outfit seriously reminds me of a Spider-Man suit. I'm pretty sure if I gave her like an alternate head, this would work perfectly. And two, I'm not sure if it's just a figure. I think it's just a figure, but this figure is kind of thick. Just saying. But I think that weirdly works for Jury. One more thing I forgot to mention is how I did the hands. With these, I just put some sculpting on her hands to make the padding she has, and some thread. So yeah, articulation wise, her head can go up and down. She can go side to side. Her arms can move out that far. She has a single hinge elbow and an elbow swivel. She has a wrist swivel and a hinge. She has a diaphragm joint, so she can't really crunch forward, but she can crunch back. She does have a swivel here. Her legs can go... Oh, thigh swivel came out. Her leg can go out that far, and you can't adjust it to get it kicking forward. Her leg can go back that far. And another modification I did was cutting into the leg itself, if I can get it off. So yeah, I cut into the leg in order to make it move out a bit more. So once I put it back on the figure, you'll see. So let me do that. So yeah, her legs can go out pretty far, so you can get her in a high kicking position. Yeah, like I said, a thigh swivel, which I made myself. She has double jointed knees. The thigh swivel came out again. And she has an ankle rocker, so it can go up and down, and it can pivot. So yeah, all three of these figures I think came out pretty well. Especially Jury, like I said, probably my favorite. I am going to work on them bit by bit, you know, fixing any problems or adding some stuff that I didn't add, but as of now, I think these came out pretty well. And I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. Before October is over, I'll be sure to release one more video. And if you follow my Instagram, which you should, you'll see what that's about. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoy.